And welcome back. So we broke Afghanistan, and now children are starving. Don't we have some responsibility here? I have shared with you in the past, I've been on the mailing list, the email list for some time for the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction. This is an agency that was put into place independent of the military but it has a .mil email address. Specifically to oversee what's going on in Afghanistan. And the reports that I've been sharing with you for the last, 4 or 5 years anyway, have been just scathing. And they just released their 54th quarterly report. This was actually about a week ago, to Congress, examining the $145 billion U.S. reconstruction effort in Afghanistan. Here are the key points. Over half of Afghanistan's population currently faces a tsunami of hunger. Record drought, rising food prices, internal displacement, severe economic downturn, collapse of public services. 19 million Afghans experienced acute food insecurity in September and October of last year. 22.8 million Afghans will be at potentially life-threatening levels of hunger this winter, 8.7 million of whom are facing near-famine conditions. 3.2 million Afghan children under the age of 5 are suffering from acute malnutrition. 1 million are at risk of dying as we speak. They note it would take $2 billion in foreign aid just to lift the incomes of all Afghans from extreme poverty up to poverty. On January 11th, the White House announced that they're sending $8 million worth of U.S. humanitarian aid to Afghanistan. The United Nations launched a $5 billion funding appeal. They're trying to raise $5 billion to feed people in Afghanistan. As of January 2022, the United States was providing $782 million in humanitarian aid in Afghanistan and for Afghan refugees in the region. So it looks like, A, there's a crisis. B, we are doing something about it. But, is it big enough? Is it enough? I don't know. Some good news here from Oregon. Well, time will tell. We'll see. I generally do not weigh in on primary contests because unless you live in the district or next door to the district, you just really don't know about the local politics. And I made that mistake a few times early on in the 19 years I've been doing this show, bringing on primary guests and then discovering, there was another progressive in the primary too, and maybe even a better one. And so I've just, largely decided to stay out of primaries. The exception to that was 2 years ago when the mayor of one of the little towns affiliated with Portland was running against Kurt Schrader in the primary, and I had him here on the program a couple of times. And because Kurt Schrader has just been, in my opinion, he's a Democrat, but he's just done a terrible job of representing us in the U.S. House of Representatives. He is he's one of this handful of conservatives who last year chipped away at different aspects of Build Back Better, killed the prescription drug price reform, for which he was, given lots of money from Big Pharma. He's been leading the assault on Oregon, frankly. He inherited a fortune from his Pfizer executive grandfather shortly before the 2008 cycle, which is how he got into Congress in the first place. And ever since then, he's been one of the most conservative and corporate-friendly Democrats in Washington, D.C. He led the charge that killed the Build Back Better provision that would have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices. That's Kurt Schrader's work to destroy that, to end that. He was one of 2 Democrats that voted against the American Rescue Plan. And he said that the impeachment of Donald Trump and his role in stoking the January 6th insurrection, that people who are investigating that, like the committee, this is a lynching of Donald Trump. This guy's a Democrat, right? So he's being challenged by Jamie McLeod Skinner, an openly gay woman. She grew up in rural Oregon, moved back, married, actually, an openly gay woman, married to her wife, moved back to Oregon after spending her adulthood in communities around the world. She worked for the International Rescue Committee to coordinate reconstruction and humanitarian aid in Bosnia, which led to a job managing refugee programs in the Bay Area in California. She served on the city council in Santa Clara, worked as a city and environmental planner. She's got a law degree from the University of Oregon. She's been the city manager of the Oregon town of Talent. And they turned to her as a crisis manager when they had the wildfires. She is a strong supporter of progressive policies such as Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, and she has been endorsed by the Working Families Party, by the Sunrise Movement here in Oregon, and by Indivisible. So keep an eye on this race. This is a brand new district, the 5th congressional, well, it's a newly redrawn, the 5th congressional district, and so Schrader is only going to have about half of the people who voted for him last time in this district this time. It could be a very competitive primary. So just heads up on that.